Do you
And,
remember what your first lawsuit was?
yes, I don't remember what it was about, but what I've just told you is how I got there. And I went, and I was scared. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to try a lawsuit. Well, I had seen lots of lawsuits because while I was going to law school, I had a friend who worked at the Tulsa County Courthouse as a bailiff. He was in law school with me. Another guy named Howard Mefford. Howard's dead now. Roy Hinkle's dead now. But anyway, I would get out of work about 4 o'clock, and I would go to the courthouse in Tulsa, and I would go up to the courtroom. Raymond Graham was the judge, and I would go up there, and they would be trying a lawsuit of some kind or a hearing, and I would sit and watch them. And I would watch this lawyer and that lawyer walk around jingling the coins in their pockets and acting like studs. But I was just going to go examine titles. But I spend a lot of evenings for about an hour sometimes waiting on Howard to get off. And we'd go grab a hot dog or something at the Coney Island before we went to class. But I watched a lot of lawyers in that period of time because that was a routine. It was part of my education, I guess. But somebody asked me to try a lawsuit, and I went, and I was scared, and I asked one of my partners, and I won't tell you which one it was, to go with me, and told him that I had this job, and I wasn't sure I knew what to do, and he said, yeah, he'd go. And so he went, and he did a lot of the talking, and I thought, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, not really, later I thought, I would never have said that. I was embarrassed, really. And it wasn't long after that until I had another hearing of some sort, and I didn't ever take anybody with me again. And in a very short time, I was very comfortable in the courtroom. In almost no time, I was very comfortable, and I worked hard at it, getting ready to go.
What year was this that you came over to Claremore?
1963.
1963. That you joined the firm of, at that time it was Bassman and Gordon.
It's Bassman, Gordon, Mayberry, and Lavender.
Bassman, Gordon,
and Bob
Mayberry.
Lavender was appointed to the Oklahoma Supreme Court 2 years after I started. So there was a vacancy on the Oklahoma Supreme Court. And Bob Lavender was registered as a Republican. Bob lived down at Catoosa. He's a real nice guy, real solid guy. And Henry Bellman had two guys. We had one at Miami, and I can't remember that man's name, but he was very busy and a very qualified lawyer and making big money, more money than he could make on the Supreme Court. And so Bob Lavender was picked by Henry Bellman as the new Supreme Court justice, and he moved out, and I took his desk. I was upstairs. Didn't even have a stairway inside. If I got a client, they had to go up an outside stairs to my office, and I got to move downstairs, and I got Bob's office. And after 2 years, and I asked for and was made a partner.
Just to make it clear, the office was directly across the street from the courthouse.
You could get up. I could get up from my desk, and a lot of times I did. Right, we would call. I'd get up and run up the second floor to the court clerk's office, and the court clerk. There was one court clerk. It was Bronk Wofford, and he had two deputies. I don't know how many they got up there now. But he had two deputies, and the lawyers would just go back there and they would find their own stuff. But we didn't book it in, but if we were looking for something and checking something, we had the run of the office.
I remember those days.
And so, my office was right across. Where the new courthouse is now is where my old office was. if you go into the new courthouse, if you go into the first floor, back in the county commissioner's office area is where my desk sat. And so we had a good location for a courthouse, and the county eventually bought us. But this was many years later. I practiced law at that location for 46 years, and the county bought it, and they were fair. They were fair, and it made us a reasonable deal. And at that time, it was me and Larry that owned the building. Everybody else was gone.
Larry Raymeyer. You and Larry Raymeyer.
Yeah, me and Larry Raymeyer owned the building, and we practiced law together. I did lots of trials. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that I've tried more cases than any individual lawyer in this county. In the years that I practiced, I'm pretty sure that nobody tried as many as I did.